My wife cheated on me when we were dating, and I discovered it 2 years after marriage, so I divorced her. 2 years into our marriage, I thought I was the luckiest man alive. Sarah was my best friend, my partner in everything, and we were even starting to talk about having kids. The house was always filled with laughter, and we would often talk about our future late into the night. It was everything I had ever dreamed of. Our relationship was built on trust, love, and mutual respect, and I had no reason to believe that anything could ever threaten that. We met during our final year of college. I still remember the first time I saw her in the campus coffee shop. Her smile was like a light in the middle of a dark room. She was funny, smart, and drop-dead gorgeous. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. We became inseparable, spending hours together, sharing our dreams, and making plans for the future. In those early days, we were both passionate and wild with our love, staying up late talking about everything from our childhoods to our hopes for the future. We dated for a little over a year before getting married. I knew it was the right decision. There was no one else I'd rather spend my life with. Sarah used to say, "I'd never hurt you. You're my everything." I believed her completely. It was the kind of relationship everyone envied, and I took pride in that. But now, as I look back, I wonder how much of it was real, and how much of it was a lie. I never had any reason to doubt her, never once thought that she was hiding something. She was everything I wanted, loyal, loving, and perfect in every way. But as the days passed, I started to realize that maybe I wasn't the only one who thought our marriage was perfect. It all started with something so small, so insignificant, that I almost missed it. One evening, Sarah was in the shower, and I was on her laptop trying to order a gift for our anniversary. I wasn't snooping. I didn't have any reason to. We often used each other's devices without a second thought. But as I was searching for an old confirmation email, I accidentally clicked on a folder labeled College Memories. I almost closed it right away. It wasn't what I was looking for, and I had no real interest in digging through old photos. But then, curiosity got the better of me. We had met in college, after all, maybe there were pictures of us in there. As I scrolled through the images, a wave of nostalgia hit me. There were pictures of Sarah at parties, with friends, laughing and carefree. Some of them included me. But then I saw something that made my stomach tighten. It was a picture of Sarah with another guy, one I didn't recognize. They were close, too close. His arm was draped around her waist, her body leaning into him, her smile wide and full of affection. My first thought was innocent. Maybe it was just a friend. But then I kept scrolling. I found more pictures of them together. In one, he was kissing her cheek. In another, they were in bed, partially covered by sheets. Sarah's face turned toward the camera with a playful, intimate smile. A lump formed in my throat. My hands felt clammy. Who the hell was this guy? And then I saw it. A series of screenshots of messages. My eyes darted over the words, my brain struggling to process them. Him. Last night was amazing. Wish you didn't have to sneak out so early. Sarah. I know. I hate lying to him, but it's almost over. Him. Does he suspect anything? Sarah. No. He's sweet but oblivious. He'd never even think I'd do something like this. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I sat there frozen, staring at the screen, willing the words to change, to mean something else. She was talking about me. I kept reading. The messages were from 2 months before we got engaged. My stomach turned. This wasn't some brief mistake, something that happened years ago before we got serious. She had cheated on me while we were together. And worse, she had planned to keep me in the dark forever. The sound of the shower turning off snapped me out of my daze. My hands trembled as I shut the laptop. Sarah walked into the bedroom, towel wrapped around her body, her hair damp. She smiled at me. Hey, what are you doing? I stared at her, my mouth dry. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation, but my throat felt tight. Instead, I took a slow breath and said, "Who is he?" Her smile faltered. What? I stood up, grabbing the laptop and opening the folder again, turning the screen toward her. This guy. Who is he? Her face went pale. Her towel slipped slightly, but she caught it. I could see her swallow hard. Where did you find that? I think you know, I said coldly. Now answer me. She hesitated, eyes darting toward the door as if she was planning an escape. But there was nowhere to run. It was a long time ago, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. It doesn't matter anymore. I let out a bitter laugh. Doesn't matter? Are you kidding me? She took a step closer, reaching for my arm. Please, let's just talk about this. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I yanked my arm away. So, what? You were just going to keep lying to me forever? Pretend it never happened? Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing but rage. I was scared, she admitted. I knew I made a mistake, but I loved you, and I didn't want to lose you. I clenched my jaw, my head spinning. So, you let me marry you? Let me commit my life to you? Without ever telling me the truth? She nodded slowly, her face contorted in guilt. I thought it was better that way. Better for who? Certainly not for me. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe. The life I thought I had, the love I thought was real, had just shattered before my eyes. And I didn't know if I could ever recover from it. I don't remember how long I stood there, staring at Sarah. The room felt too small, the air too thick, my thoughts spiraling so fast I could barely keep up. You thought it was better that way? I finally repeated, my voice cold. You thought lying to me for years was the right thing to do? Sarah shook her head, tears streaming down her face. No, I was scared, okay? I didn't want to lose you. I scoffed, running a hand through my hair. You didn't want to lose me? Then maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't have cheated. She flinched at my words, wrapping her arms around herself. It only happened once, she whispered. It was a stupid, meaningless mistake. I let out a bitter laugh. A mistake? Sarah, this wasn't some drunken one-night stand you immediately regretted. You lied to me for years. Hell, you were still with him 2 months before we got engaged. She sobbed harder. I was young and stupid. I didn't think it would matter in the long run. I chose you. I married you. I shook my head. No, Sarah, you didn't choose me. You chose yourself. You chose to lie, to take away my right to know the truth about the person I was committing my life to. She covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking. I never meant to hurt you. I should have felt something seeing her like that, some sympathy, some part of me that wanted to comfort her. But all I felt was numbness. I took a step back, suddenly feeling disgusted in my own home. I needed air, space, something to ground me in reality. I can't do this right now. Please. She reached for me again, but I backed away. We can get past this. We love each other. I barked out a laugh. Do we? Because I don't even know who the hell you are anymore. Her face crumpled, and she sank onto the bed, sobbing. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door. I drove around aimlessly, my mind a storm of emotions, anger, betrayal, disbelief. Every memory of our relationship replayed in my head, now tainted by the knowledge of what she had done. Had she ever felt guilty when she told me she loved me? Did she ever think about telling me the truth, or was she always planning to take this secret to the grave? I pulled over into an empty parking lot and just sat there, gripping the steering wheel. My whole marriage had been a lie. How could I ever trust her again? I didn't go home that night. I crashed at my best friend Mark's place. When he opened the door and saw my face, he didn't even ask. What happened? I walked inside, sat on his couch, and told him everything. By the time I was done, Mark was pacing the room, shaking his head. Dude, I don't even know what to say. That's messed up. Tell me about it. I let out a humorless laugh. Mark sat across from me, his expression serious. So, what now? Are you gonna stay with her? I hesitated. That was the million-dollar question, wasn't it? Sarah was begging for forgiveness, insisting that our marriage was worth fighting for. But was it? Could I ever look at her the same way again? Could I ever believe another word she said? I don't know, I admitted. I feel like everything we had is ruined. Mark nodded. Look, man, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. But ask yourself this. Can you ever really trust her again? Because if you can't, what's the point? His words hit me like a truck. If you can't trust her, what's the point? And deep down, I already knew the answer. There was no coming back from this. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind bombarded me with memories, our first date, our engagement, our wedding vows. Each one now felt like a cruel joke. By morning, I had made my decision. I couldn't stay with Sarah. I drove back home, mentally preparing myself for what I had to do. When I walked through the door, Sarah was sitting on the couch, looking like she hadn't slept either. Her eyes were red and puffy, her hair a mess. She shot up the moment she saw me. "You're back." I nodded but didn't say anything. She hesitated, wringing her hands. "I was so scared you wouldn't come home. I was thinking maybe we could talk." "Really talk?" I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "There's nothing to talk about, Sarah." Her face paled. "No, please. Don't say that. We can fix this. I made a mistake, but I love you. I've always loved you." I clenched my jaw, my hands balling into fists at my sides. "You don't get to say that. You don't get to stand here and act like everything is fine when you've been lying to me for years." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't tell you because I was scared. I didn't want to lose you. You lost me the moment you decided I wasn't worth the truth." My voice was calm, but inside, I was raging. Sarah sobbed. "Please, don't do this. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes." I shook my head. "There's nothing left to fix, Sarah. Trust is everything in a marriage, and you shattered it." Her breath hitched. "But I love you." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Maybe you do, but love isn't enough." The words hung between us like a death sentence. I turned away, heading toward the bedroom to grab my things. I couldn't stay here any longer. Behind me, Sarah collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. But this time, I didn't turn back. Over the next few weeks, we began the painful process of separating our lives. The house we had built together suddenly felt like a prison, filled with memories that haunted me at every turn. Sarah kept trying to change my mind. She left notes, sent texts, even begged me to at least try counseling. But I knew deep down that nothing would erase the betrayal. One night, as I was packing the last of my things, she stood in the doorway, watching me. "This is really it, huh?" she whispered. I zipped up my suitcase, avoiding her gaze. "Yeah," she wiped her eyes. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'll always love you." I finally looked at her. "And I'll always remember what we had. But some things can't be undone." With that, I walked past her, out of the house, and into the unknown. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. Divorce wasn't easy. The pain didn't just disappear overnight. But little by little, I started to heal. I focused on myself, my career, my passions, my friends. And eventually, the ache in my chest lessened. One day, I'll love again. But next time, I'll make sure it's with someone who values honesty as much as I do. Because if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that trust isn't just important in a relationship, it's everything.